Thank you. Welcome everyone to our event on measuring economic mobility. This event is being convened by the Office of Human Services Policy in the Assistant Secretary for Planning and Evaluation in the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services in collaboration with the Institute for Research on Poverty at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. My name is Katherine Magnuson, and I am serving as the Director of the Institute for Research on Poverty. I want to welcome everyone who has joined to this event. IRP has a cooperative working agreement with ASPE, and we've worked closely with them to put together this event. I think having an event on economic mobility during an unprecedented pandemic when many people are out of work, are looking to an uncertain future, an uncertain economic future, it really brings home the idea that knowing what happens to people's economic fortunes is important. This event is really focusing on measuring economic mobility and economic well-being, and I think it's a really crucial time to be able to have data and think about what the data will tell us and the measures will tell us, given how much uncertainty and changes there are in people's economic futures. The way that we're going to run the event, I am going to introduce all the speakers that we have for you today, and then there will be some opening remarks by Gretchen Lehman. I will give a brief context on what we know from research about measuring economic mobility, and then I will hand it over to two experts who will provide their perspectives on economic mobility and measuring economic mobility. At that point, we'll pause and have a time for questions to ask the speakers. And then after some discussion, we'll move over to talking to hearing from some folks from the state of Minnesota and what they've been doing on the ground. Then we'll pause for questions after they speak with the Minnesota or any more general questions. With that, I will go ahead and introduce our speakers. First is Gretchen Lehman. She's the coordinator for the U.S. Interagency Council on Economic Mobility. She works in the Office of Human Services Policy, the Division of Family and Community Policy, in the Office of the Assistant Secretary for Planning and Evaluation in the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. After that, we'll hear from Michael Strain. Michael is the Director of the Economic Policy Studies and the Arthur S. Burns Scholar in Political Economy at the American Enterprise Institute. He is the author of the recently published book, The American Dream is Not Dead, but Populism Could Kill It, which challenges the narrative of economic despair presented by populists in both political parties. His research focuses on labor economics, public finance, and social policy, and he is a research fellow with the Institute for Labor Economics in Bonn. We have also with us Bash Mazumdar. He is a senior economist and research advisor in the Economic Research Department at the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago. He also serves as the Executive Director of Chicago's Federal Statistical Research Data Center, and his research has been focused on 4 areas: intergenerational economic mobility, long-term effects of poor health early in life, black-white gaps in human capital development, and issues related to household finance and well-being. Next, we'll hear from Ben Jake Leslie. He is an agency policy specialist at the Minnesota Department of Human Services. Ben produces the Self-Support Index, which he will tell you about, and which is the state's performance measure for the Minnesota Family Investment Program. He is currently supporting the agency's responses through SNAP and MFIP to COVID-19. Prior to working for DHS, Ben was a senior research manager at JPAL, focusing on supporting randomized evaluations of anti-poverty programs in sub-Saharan Africa and South Asia. We also have with us Pamela McCauley. She is here to help with the discussion and answer questions along with Ben. Pamela works for the Minnesota Department of Human Services, managing Minnesota's temporary assistance to needy families program, the MFIP, Minnesota Family Investment Program. Pamela also manages the state-funded diversionary work program. And I want to take just a minute before I hand it to Gretchen to really reiterate how grateful I am for these speakers, their willingness to share their expertise with us, Again, we were hoping to all be convened in person, and they, as well with my IRP and the ASPE team, has just been incredibly flexible and willing to adapt their materials and their time to bring this to you today. So thanks to you all, and I'll hand it over to Gretchen.